Over the past couple of years, Bitcoin and Ethereum have gotten astronomically more rare, yet it still remains to be one of the most overlooked and under-talked about areas in all of cryptocurrency. So what I want to do today is make a little bit of a different video and talk about just how much more rare Bitcoin and Ethereum have gotten, especially in the last couple of years here. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we're going to look at a lot of visuals, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even the US dollar inflation rates, but we're also going to be looking at just how much Bitcoin is actually circulating around on a lot of these major crypto exchanges. And I promise you, this part will come as a surprise to you because whatever you think the number is, it's going to be a whole lot lower than you thought. So let's start things from the top and look at the inflation rates of the US dollar first, because whether you live in the US or not, the US economy is going to affect you in one way or another. And this has to do really with a big part of what we're going to talk about today. So after COVID happened, with all the money that was printed, inflation rates went all the way from around 1 to 2% up to 9.1% last summer. Now that's where they peaked, and ever since then, the Fed has been doing all sorts of things, really everything in their power with rate hikes to try to cut inflation back down. Now, as of the latest month here, making this video in August of 2023, inflation rates in the US are now back down to a 3%, which looks good, especially in comparison to when we were at a 9% about a year ago. But we have to understand that Bitcoin's inflation rate over its full history is sitting at an average of 1.74%. And Ethereum's inflation rate is actually a deflation rate. And as of today, Ethereum has a deflation rate of 0.32%. And in prior months, it was even bigger than this at like a 1% or even a 2% plus. And so Ethereum is full on deflationary at this point after Ethereum 2.0, after the Shanghai upgrade. Ethereum is now a deflationary asset, and that could change over time. But the way that it's looking right now is that Ethereum is going to stay deflationary for quite some time, whereas Bitcoin has about half the inflation rate of the US dollar, even after all the quantitative easing that they've been doing over the past 2 or so years now. Now, why do I say this? Well, because again, we have to understand that with both of the major cryptos, Bitcoin and Ethereum, having a significantly lower inflation rate than the US dollar, it is becoming more rare. The dollar is almost going to almost forever, is going to have a higher inflation rate than both Bitcoin and Ethereum moving forward, which means that if you are taking your value or determining your value of your Bitcoin or Ethereum against the US dollar, then it's always going to be getting more valuable simply by deflation and inflation happening as a constant, with the US dollar inflating at a significantly higher rate than both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, the other major thing that I wanted to talk about over here is just how much Bitcoin is actually circulating around on exchanges right now. Because if we go and we look at the total circulating supplies of Bitcoin and Ethereum here on CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin has about 19 million Bitcoin in circulating supply at the moment, whereas Ethereum has roughly 120 million in its circulating supply. Now, what this means, and I was just tweeting about this the other day, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, check me out. It's the Crypto Analyst YouTube or at a Crypto Analyst. One of the points I made is that there's only 8 billion people in this world, or rather there are 8 billion people in this world. And meanwhile, there's only 19 million Bitcoin and 120 million Ethereum. This means that less than 2% of the world can own a single Ethereum if they wanted to, or less than 0.25% of the world can own a Bitcoin. So less than 1% of people can own a Bitcoin if they want to, and less than 2% of people in the world could own a single Ethereum before it would all be gone. Now, what if we narrowed that genre and instead of saying, hey, what if everyone in the world wanted Bitcoin? What if we just said, what if every millionaire wanted a Bitcoin? Well, there are over 56 million millionaires, that's a bit of a tongue twister, in the world right now, which means that even if every millionaire wanted a Bitcoin, they couldn't get one. Only about half of the world's population, or not even half of the world's millionaires, could get a Bitcoin if they wanted one, because by that time it would already be bought up. About a third of the world's millionaires could all get one Bitcoin before it's all gone. And for Ethereum, every millionaire in the world could have maybe 2 Ethereum before it would all be gone. And that's not leaving room for anyone else that's not a millionaire. So I'm trying to kind of describe and picture this to all of you of just how much more rare Bitcoin has gotten. And I think another easy way of doing that, besides the inflation rates and what its circulating supply is looking at Bitcoin's current exchange volume, or how much Bitcoin's actually sitting as the supply on these exchanges. Because a couple of months ago, back in June, we were talking about how Bitcoin supply on exchanges slid to a 3-year low. Now that was 2 months ago. And if you're thinking that it's gotten any better, it hasn't. Bitcoin has continued to get more rare. It's continued to leave exchanges. And if we look at this chart, this is the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges over the last 2 years or so. And it's just been down. Now, is this a bad thing? It depends which way you look at it. I think if you look at it in the way of, if you own Bitcoin, it is now so much harder to get a hold of, which means that it is thus more rare. So Bitcoin back in June of 2021 was significantly easier to get your hands on. There was around 2.5 million Bitcoin in supply that was sitting on exchanges. Fast forward to where we're at today, it's at 1.2 million. It is half of what it was 2 years ago. So the Bitcoin supply the Bitcoin supply on exchanges has literally been cut in half from what it was 2 years ago. Now, if that doesn't get you at least a little bit excited and make you think, why is all this ETF stuff happening? Why is all this crypto stuff happening now? Well, Bitcoin is significantly more rare. So where could Bitcoin could have gone? Well, the only real answer is that it was pretty much sent to private wallets. And those private wallets could be everyday people like you and me, but it's probably larger institutions that were picking this thing up in the dip. And obviously they're not going to leave their funds, or a lot of them won't leave their funds on like a publicly listed exchange in a public account. They will have private accounts or private wallets holding their crypto, most likely offline, especially if it's any kind of significant money. So with all this happening, Bitcoin supply is now at multi-year lows. Like, this is the lowest that we have seen Bitcoin supply on exchanges since, I want to say it was previously 2018, but I believe now we've fallen to like 2017 or even 16 lows. Like, Bitcoin is becoming extremely rare once again. And this is just another chart about this. And again, this was from months ago. And it's only gotten more rare since this time. So it's one of those things that you got to keep an eye out on. And again, it's a little bit more of a different video than we typically do over here, but it's one of the most overlooked things in all of crypto. And so people are looking at the charts. I'm a trader. I get it. I look at the charts and I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy Bitcoin and sell it because of this. But no one's looking at the supply and the inflation rates and stuff like this in the background, when it's so important, especially when people get excited about the halving, cutting the Bitcoin reward in half, when the total supply has been cut in half over the last 2 years in terms of exchange supply. So that's something I would say is arguably something to get excited about. But again, my job here isn't to tell you where the market's going to go. I'm not here to give you legal, financial, or tax advice. I'm simply here just to present the data to all of you so that you don't have to spend countless hours doing it. So if you enjoy the content that I make and you want to watch more videos like this one, all that I ask is that you consider hitting the like and subscribe button, because we have videos coming out just like this one every single week, multiple times a week. But that's going to wrap us up. So again, I hope all of you enjoyed. We got another video coming out next Wednesday, so stick around for that one. And until then, everyone, enjoy the weekend.